So, swine flu mania is sweeping YouTube. If I had $1 for every Alex Jones video that has been sent to me in the last week or so, I could now retire. Can anyone remember what Jones was talking about, what conspiracy theory he was pushing before this flu story broke? I'm just curious. I don't follow Jones much at all. How many years now has he been talking about things that are about to happen that have never happened or have never been proven to have happened?
That's right, folks. I'm your man. The only thing you ever get from the Hour of the Time is the truth. Now, I want you to understand that this little series that we're doing is nothing personal against Alex Jones or anybody else. But I happen to know for a fact, absolute fact, and listen to me very carefully, that people who practice this kind of broadcasting and claim to be an American patriot do nothing but discredit all of us eventually. It's wrong. It is absolutely wrong. This guy would take a call and some caller would report something, and instead of saying, well, we're not, like I do on this broadcast when somebody calls in and wants to tell a rumor, I tell them, no, we don't do that on this broadcast. If you want to call me tomorrow, I'll check it out. And if it turns out to be true and the listening audience needs to hear it, then we'll make arrangements for you to call in, and it can be your story, and we'll do it. But that's the only way it's done on this broadcast. All of these other people, they take phone calls. And a lot of these phone calls are people spreading rumors. And these rumors, 99% of them turn out to be wrong. And it's wrong to allow that to happen. Especially when the host takes it and runs with it. Without any checking, without any calling, without any research, without anything. This is one of the people who pulls faxes off the fax machine and reads them over the air. This is the one of people who indiscriminately reads Associated Press wire reports and ABC wire reports and news releases and press releases without checking them out. Associated Press, UPI, especially ABC, have been well known to plant fake, phony, and false stories. We've all discovered that over the years. No radio host who reports the news, especially on a day when he knows that a good segment of the population is afraid, that we've been told to expect the collapse of civilization as we know it, and all kinds of things like that, to participate in this kind of fear-mongering. Listen very carefully, folks. This will frost you, and then we'll talk about it. I may stop the tape at certain portions, and we'll talk about it then. Listen very carefully. This is just snippets taken from the first 45 minutes of the Alex Jones show on December the 31st, New Year's Eve. This is news. What I'm reporting here to you is hard news. This could have resulted in the shutdown of the whole country, the declaration of martial law, mass hysteria and panic by millions of people. And this is the guy, along with a few others, but this is the main guy who was. Listen carefully.
Cash machines are failing in Britain and now other European countries. They're finding large amounts of explosives in France. Vladimir Putin, who is known as Vladimir the Ruthless, and using all his profanity on national TV, you name it. We won't read the profanity here, but we've got it. This person is on an unbelievable power trip and resembles a demon. He is a creature of the IMF and the World Bank and international communism. He is a former KGB head. And this information is vital, ladies and gentlemen. We are seeing the New World Order really come out in full force. More wars than have been in the last 50 years are going on right now. The war in Chechnya is raging in Grozny with, reports of hundreds of thousands dying.
Is that true, folks? Are there more wars going on right now than in the last 50 years? Are there hundreds of thousands of people dying right now in Chechnya? Listen to this. This man is just making it up right out of his head as he goes along.
20 to 40,000 civilians trapped in the city. Russian Hinds are being shot down. Tanks are being blown to bits. Massive Grad unguided rocket attacks are being launched on the city indiscriminately right now. Air and artillery bombardments as well. It's absolutely out of control. It is pandemic, ladies and gentlemen. I'll give you the news first on Y2K. The newest developments: the Pennsylvania nuclear plant has been shut down. One of the main systems transferring the power from it failed, but they say it's not a Y2K problem. And the things I'm experiencing here in Austin, Texas: the shelves are empty of water and some gas stations are running out of fuel. Here in Central Texas and in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the shortwave is basically down, ladies and gentlemen. Went off right as I went on the air. The big news on Y2K. Then we'll start going to your call.
What he's saying is deception. It's fear-mongering. It scared the hell out of literally millions of people, and it got worse.
Most of the movie theater change. Hollywood is owned by the Arabs and the Israelis for some reason. But the actual financing, I've looked into it, is mainly Saudi and Jordanian and the folks from Dubai and Qatar and a few other places. And then British, of course. And what was left was defense industries and stock markets. And I knew the Arabs owned the majority of some stock markets, but I was reading the Financial Times of London and learned that the majority of world stock markets are now owned by the Arabs. That is but as if it wasn't enough that two Middle Eastern countries own 49% of the London Stock Exchange. Now they're about to bid and own the majority, and that's just two countries. If you add them all together, the Arabs own it almost outright, 70+%. And same thing with Dow Jones, because Arabs own Fox. You see, you didn't know that, did you? You didn't know that Arabs... See, Murdoch's only got a minority stock now. But the way the agreements were set, he still has board control. But Saudis own more than he does. But there's one Saudi with 14% last year. But, I mean, so the point is they just own everything. I mean, they control the whole deal. Now it's defense.
Information. I'm going to put the call out that you call the White House and tell them, look, we've seen the news stories that you wanted to blow things up, that you have blown things up, and that you're saying that 4 million of us are going to die and we need martial law and the Associated Press and one of your little drills you had, and that we're aware of who the terrorists are if you pull this. This can stop this Hitlerian Reichstag event. I want to put the toll-free number up for Congress. And I won't want you to believe Alex Jones. I want you to go get these news stories off my website. I want you to call these major newspapers. I want you to find out if these statements were true by the White House about preparing for martial law. And I want you to let them know that if there is any terrorism, we know who to blame. The point is, if any terrorism comes, it's from this government. And if there was an outside threat like a bin Laden, who was a known CIA asset in the 80s, running the Mujahideen war, and whose family builds all the military bases over in Saudi Arabia right now, and sits with the board of Iridium Satellite. He's the boogeyman they need in this Orwellian phony system.
You see, because the largest intelligence apparatus in the world, with the biggest budget in the history of the world, has been looking for Osama bin Laden for years and years and years, and can't find him. Some doofus jerk-off reporter with a camera crew bosses right into his hideout and interviews him. And I'm telling you, be prepared for a major attack. But it won't be Osama bin Laden. It will be those behind the New World Order.
Before we get started, I have to clear up a little discrepancy here. Apparently the other night, or within the last week, because I've been getting a lot of email about this, and I even received one telephone call. Apparently somebody called the Alex Jones broadcast and asked him why he didn't have me on the air, or asked him something about me. Alex Jones said he had me on the air once before, several years ago, and had to cut me off the air because of the foul language that I used. So on the air tonight, I'm going to tell you, Alex Jones, you are a bold-faced, miserable, stinking little coward liar. Now let me say that again so there's no mistake about it. You can all tell Alex Jones that I said this, and I suspect he's listening because he does. Alex Jones, you are a bold-faced, stinking, rotten little coward liar.